let's start with the cruise food we enjoyed on the Disney Wish that was available in the main dining rooms.
Yeah.
And they have those rotational dining rooms. So they had 3 different main dining rooms. They had the 1923, which is broken down into the Walt Disney and the Roy Disney rooms. They had the
World of Marvel.
Worlds of Marvel, and your favorite, I think, was the third one.
Annandale.
That's right. And Annandale, here, let's take a look. You had prime rib, and the lighting makes this look even redder than I think it was in person. But what did you think of the prime rib?
Well, I didn't realize it was prime rib. They called it like a sirloin.
No. Well, sometimes they'll call it. We're getting a little into the weeds already, but sometimes they'll call it like roast
or ribeye
roast or something like that.
Yeah,
because that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yep. But how did it taste though?
It tasted wonderful. It melt in your mouth. It was cooked well. I was thinking I should save the broccoli for Dan, but he wouldn't want leftover broccoli.
Yeah, we went different ways on that night. We had did a couple different things. So, but this way we're able to show you more cruise food.
Yeah,
looks like you got what is that, like a twice baked potato there too?
Yep.
Yum. And for your appetizers,
I had salad.
It
was like a strawberry walnut salad, mixed green salad. It was really good.
Looks like it probably has a really sweet dressing.
Yes.
So nice. Strawberry. And you also had.
So I had ordered scallops as an appetizer, but when they brought me this, I'm like, what is this? And the waiter said, oh, you need to crack open the bread top. It's like a
bread dome. It's like oh, they call it a present.
A bread present. So down in the middle of it, there was like a scallop soup. And there was 2 scallops. So
scallops in like some sort of broth or something?
Yeah, it was in a soup broth.
Interesting.
Sauce. Yeah.
Well, speaking of bread, we got to show them the basket of bread. You had a selection of different bread there at Annandale. But last but not least, we also got to talk about the dessert there.
Right.
Your dessert was, tell us, what is this exactly?
This is an apple torte with ice cream with I want to say praline ice cream. It was really good.
Okay. Looks like it was starting to melt there quite a bit.
Yes, but it was really good. They had a caramel sauce on there too. So.
And in case you don't know, the Annandale and these other themed MDRs have a show with it. So you got to see the show. You got to see Anna. And
I got to see Olaf, and I got to see Anna and her
her sister.
Her sister. I couldn't think of her name.
Let's move on. We're talking about food. Let's move on. Okay, I got us off track there. Let's mention another dessert from a different restaurant. This is from Worlds of Marvel. We don't have a lot to show from there, but you did have what was this?
Key lime pie.
Key lime pie. Yes, I'm jealous of that. And I think that night we ate Apollo, and then you said, I want to just drop down to Worlds of Marvel, because that was our assigned dining that night, and just see what it's like. So you got in there and you just basically had dessert and you just a couple little things. And
I remember I brought you a piece of back of key lime pie.
Good. It was really good. But that's one of the nice things you can do is you can do the adults only dining, book that at a different time than your rotational dining. And then if you want to go with the kids and experience the rotational dining, you can do that too.
That's right.
So let's move on. Let's talk about another MDR and kind of a little different experience. The 1923 main dining rooms. We were assigned to the Roy Disney room, which is really cool, very retro looking. Is based on the year that Walt Disney Company was formed, and had a very kind of Art Deco look.
It did. And I love Art Deco.
Yeah, and we went there for breakfast. So we're going to show you some of the breakfast food you can experience on the MDR on Disney Wish. And I remember I had the French toast, which was it was shaped like, look to me, it's like French toast sticks or little French toast banana shaped pieces, but they were pretty good. And of course, I had to have some bacon with that. What about you? What did you have?
I had a bagel with salmon and onions and with capers, and they put roasted tomatoes, but I like sliced tomatoes, so
Mm-hmm.
they finally brought me sliced tomato and more onion. So
Yeah. So that was a little bit. You kind of ordered a little bit off menu. They had bagel, but you want to make it like the lox and bagel that you're used to having.
exactly.
So that's the nice thing about, just like on other cruise ships we've been on. If they don't have, or they don't show on the menu what you want, tell
You
them what
can
you
always
want.
ask.
Yeah. And I remember it took a little bit of talking to explain exactly what you wanted for the tomatoes, because the roast tomatoes wouldn't really work in kind of a sandwich or, flat form.
Yeah, they asked, do you want it raw? Do you want it sliced? Do you want it diced? Do you want it cooked?
Yep. I want it every way. And you also got to go along with that. You got the healthy option. You got the fruit plate.
Yes. Oh, I love a good fruit plate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Looks like a good variety of fruit there.
Yes. I love me a fruit plate.
Okay. Well, not a lot to say about that, but let's move on to, again, everything we've mentioned so far is included in the price of your Disney Wish cruise. The next section is one of my favorite areas on the ship, where we got, again, food that's included, and that was at the Disney and Friends Festival of Foods. Hi over there. But that is, they have Mickey's Smokehouse Barbecue, which was I think the first stand.
That was the first stand that we went to, when we got on board the ship.
Yep. And they had this is just the selection I chose, but they have the ribs, they had the rotisserie chicken, mac and cheese, and this kind of jalapeno cornbread. It wasn't super spicy, but it had just enough to give it a little good flavor. But this Mickey Smokehouse, like the other stands I'm going to tell you about here in just a minute, are all kind of near the pool. It's on the Lido deck level. So it's really convenient to go there anytime and grab some food. Something else I had was the chicken tenders from the Goofy's Grill. And those were good. Just the chicken tenders on the Disney ships are always good. Had a little sauce to choose from. I chose barbecue sauce. And of course, you got to get French fries with that. The Daisy's Pizza Pies. I went there one time and got this little slice of pizza, just a little snack I had in the evening, probably while you were at Annandale or somewhere, and it was pretty good. But I think the kids will like this as an option. Pizza out by the pool.
Yes.
One more I want to show you. The other stand, of course, they have an ice cream stand too, but also they have Donald's Cantina, and that's where you can get tacos or burritos, custom made. I don't know if I chose the best ingredients. It's kind of up to you to choose what you want. And I had this kind of different, I don't know if it was a mango salsa or pineapple. I don't remember exactly.
It looks like a mango salsa.
But it was a good burrito. Probably not my favorite thing. I think the barbecue was by far the best, but definitely be sure you check that out.
It's like going to a Chipotle and they'll put anything that you want in the burrito.
That's right. Yeah, that's a good description of it. One place we didn't go to, we should mention, is the buffet, which they don't call the cabanas. They call it the Marceline Market. And I wanted to just kind of show how it's set up, even though we didn't dine there. They have a different design than on the Disney Dream that we were on before, which is kind of these individual stands. It's kind of more of this food hall style, this newer style of buffet. And they'll prepare and hand you the food. Most of the stuff is already there, ready to just tell them what you want and grab it.
I can't believe either one of us didn't go there.
I know. I'm lucky I got up there to get some shots of it. But I really like the style of what they've done there. Before we move on to the food that costs a little extra, we want to show you one more thing we got. We got it more than once. But for room service, I think all we got, besides we did get breakfast one morning, was the Mickey ice cream bars.
Yes, and you can call the room service and they'll say, room service.
Yep.
And what can I help you with? And
that's good.
You can say, I like to order Mickey bars. They'll ask you how many. And
100.
And I just said 1. But you can ask for, like, if there's 5 in your cabin. 5 or...
Well, another time I know you ordered 2 because I remember having one myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is, and we mentioned that in our Disney Wish tips video, which we've got the edited version of that coming out tomorrow.
Exactly.
It's a secret menu item. It's not on the normal room service menu. You just need to know to ask for it. So ask for the Mickey ice cream bar, no charge.
So good.
Brought to your room whenever you
Yes.
want it. Yeah. Let's move on to specialty dining. We're gonna primarily focus on Palo Steakhouse.
Oh my
Palo.
goodness,
We
Palo.
went to Palo for dinner twice,
Yes,
and we went to Palo for brunch. So we've got a lot to talk about with Palo.
that's right.
It costs a little extra.
It
Did you
does.
find it worth it?
Yes.
Yes, I think it was worth it. Let's show them what we had at Palo Steakhouse.
Yes.
One of the appetizers we had was the antipasta.
Oh,
the
that was so
antipasta.
good.
Yes, it was an excellent selection of meats.
Cheeses.
Yep, olives and sun-dried tomatoes.
So good.
Nice selection, and you can probably see in relation to the fork there, it's a standard size fork. You can get an idea of how big this assortment was.
He shared the charcuterie
Charcuterie.
board.
Yeah.
So it was nice. I took a bit of cheese, a bit of meat. It was good.
Yeah, and it's you can order it for one if you want, but it's definitely meant to be a 2-person or maybe even more than 2-person. Appetizer. It's got plenty there. Other appetizers that we had were, you had this.
I had this green salad
Mm-hmm.
they put shaved Parmesan. So good.
Nice. Always good to have fresh Parmesan.
Always light and refreshing.
And at brunch, they had this seafood appetizer, which was almost like it was an assortment. So I don't know. It might be kind of hard to see everything that's there. There's some shrimp there. You've got the crab claw and
salmon, tuna tartare.
Yep. Well, you just about named them all.
I did.
Yeah, except for what was that? Is that mussel? I think that's a mussel. That's not an oyster. That's a mussel.
That's a mussel.
If I'm not mistaken. And a lemon wedge.
With the green.
Oh, we're gonna name everything. Okay. So anyway, if you can get into Palo brunch, we highly recommend it. On our sailing, you need to reserve Palo in Enchanté, the French restaurant, before your cruise, and that's especially true of Palo brunch. It's sold out, and we weren't able to book it before the cruise. But at our first night on the cruise, we went to Palo for dinner, and we asked the maitre d', "Hey, is there any chance we can get into Palo brunch?" And she's like, "Well, what time would you like?" So don't hesitate to ask. If you can't book it ahead of time, this worked for us on Disney Dream too with booking Palo brunch there.
Right.
So
I always insist, if you don't ask, you won't know.
Yes, she's very insistent. Yes. So that was we've got more appetizers to show you, like the sweet potato gnocchi. That was something. It was actually meant to be an appetizer, but I think this was a pretty hearty little dish of sweet potato gnocchi with I think it had like a pesto sauce on it, and it was
that looked really good.
Really good, yeah. And along with the Italian theme, it's a steakhouse, but it's an Italian steakhouse. We also had the chicken parmesan, and that's served on a bed of risotto.
Yeah.
That was. Chicken parm is one of my favorite Italian dishes.
They bring it out so fancy.
Yeah, and it was delicious, nice and crispy with the mozzarella cheese on top too, and the risotto. When risotto's
perfectly cooked.
Yeah, when it's done right, it's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of awesome, the first night we were on there, we kind of splurged, and I went for one of the more expensive items, probably the most expensive item, and that's the Japanese A5 Wagyu strip loin. That was so tender. If you've never had Wagyu,
it melted in your mouth.
Yeah, it's very, very, just so tender and so tasty. Great flavor.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah,
he gave me a bite of it, so it was very good. Yeah, I can see why it's so pricey.
Yeah, it's definitely not your average cut of sirloin. It's definitely it melts. Just really amazing. It's something you're not going to get at probably most steakhouses, but Palo Steakhouse has it. Speaking of that, let's show them what you had.
No, oh yeah, that's they don't call it filet mignon.
Nope.
They call it a small piece of
beef tenderloin.
Yeah.
What'd you think of that?
It was really good.
Uh-huh.
So it was cool because they had different sizes. You could go 6, 8, and then a bigger piece of steak.
A different number.
Yeah.
Okay. And you went with the smallest one. I think you weren't that
Right.
hungry that evening. So I went for the Wagyu. I went for the most expensive steak, and you went for the probably the least expensive steak, but it was good from what you said.
Good.
Yeah.
They give you special seasoning salt that you can pick from and
Yep.
add onto your steak.
Yep.
Pretty fancy.
Very good. And Palo Steakhouse doesn't just have steaks. Mentioned the Italian food earlier.
Mm-hmm.
They also have some really good seafood.
Oh, yeah.
Including,
it was incredible.
One dish I had one night, and then Joy had it the other night, because we both know how good this is, and the Disney Cruise Lines at Palo and Palo Steakhouse do it so well.
Yeah.
And that's what?
Dover sole.
The Dover sole.
Oh my gosh, the way they present it, and then they debone the fish right in front of you, and it's like an art show in motion. It was so beautifully done and so amazing. It's just like, wow, I could never debone a fish that simply and beautifully like our waiter did.
Right. And what did you think of how it tasted?
It tasted like butter. It was so good. It melted in your mouth, and it was so light and delicate. You could taste the peas and the
capers.
The capers,
Yep.
the capers and the seasoning. It was so good.
Yeah, and the vegetables there, they had the spinach and carrots and potatoes. But yeah, Joy's right. That Dover sole just melted. It just melted in your mouth. And I've had it. I've had it elsewhere, but the Dover sole on Disney is just, it's the best I've had.
Oh yeah.
Let's go through a few more items here, just to kind of play cleanup here. We got to mention side dishes, great side dishes too. Like I know one night you had this asparagus,
and then there's also mushrooms, and I also got Chinese broccoli.
Okay, you're not supposed to be naming the stuff I don't have ready to show. Another item that we had before we get to desserts, which is, I know, probably what some people watching are waiting for, is with brunch you can get breakfast items too. So you can get things like pancakes as well, or you can get eggs Benedict. A lot of great items there at Palo Steakhouse. Do Palo brunch if you can get in there. If you don't reserve it ahead of time, you're not able to, ask the maitre d'. It's worth it.
Yeah, I got buttermilk pancakes. They were so light and fluffy.
Wow. Everything's great there. It's, in my opinion, it's definitely worth the money. We always get into Palo whenever we go on a Disney cruise. Let's talk about the desserts, starting with one you had. Can you describe this one?
So this is like a lemon cake, that petite lemon cake, which in the middle is a gelatin kind of mango.
A lot of flavors going on here.
Flavor.
Wow.
So they put powdered sugar on it, of course, and then they have a little scoop of ice cream next to it with some chocolate.
Yeah. And I didn't eat any of this. I wasn't really looking to try it, but I just was really impressed with the presentation. It's just, it almost looks like a work of art. It kind of reminds me of, kind of like a musically inspired with a,
I see, with the lines
with
and
the
bars
and but I don't know if that's what they're going for, but it's just beautiful presentation. Another dessert was you had the gelato, the trio.
I had the gelato, of course. So when I saw gelato, I had to have that. So the first one is a hazelnut, the middle one is a blueberry, and the third one is I want to say praline. So they were so good.
Yeah, it looks good. It looks good. Yeah, and my desserts I had the limoncello cake, which was really good. It was very refreshing, light, but a little rich, but definitely a lighter dessert compared to my go-to at Palo is always the chocolate souffle.
Yeah.
So definitely not the lightest dessert you can have, but oh my gosh, talk about awesome.
Didn't he say that when you go on board a ship, calories are fly away?
Well, they don't. Yeah, they just don't count. Yeah, I don't know. My scale back home didn't tell me that, but that's his story, and he's sticking with it.
I'm
Speaking of
sticking with
desserts,
it.
before we wrap up, we got to mention one other thing. We did another video, so we won't go into it here, but we also did the Enchanté Dessert Experience, where we had a lot of very inventive desserts. We've linked the video for that review down below, so be sure to click if you're interested in seeing more about the desserts on the Disney Wish. This was a very special experience, and it carried an extra charge, so it's not for everybody, but you want to tell them about this example we have from that video?
Oh my gosh. So this was the first dessert that they brought us, and there's a cookie ring around it, and then there's a ball of hazelnut chocolate, and inside there was like more melted or chocolate inside.
Oh.
And they had bits of lemon on it, and
like lemon cake bits.
Yeah.
And then they came over and they poured a foam on it. So it was very creative, and you can hear more about that in our Enchanté Dessert Experience video linked down below. But that was our experience on Disney Wish as far as food goes. We have several other videos where we talked about the Disney Wish in other aspects. But if you like this information, be sure to give us a thumbs up by clicking the thumbs up icon below. And if you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to subscribe.